this year's bullet journal setup for April is going to be a very special one, and I'm very excited about it already. But first, leave a like to help fight the algorithm. It is much appreciated. So, those of you who know already know. Based on the music that I chose for the video and the stickers that I've printed out, I am going to set up the first full month of spring with a Stardew Valley theme, but not just Stardew Valley, but Stardew Valley Spring. Before I talk more about the game, let me show you the stickers that I've made for the setup. These are basically images from the game that I put together, printed on sticker paper, and then cut out with my Cricut Maker. All the items on the paper are somehow related to spring, forageables, crops, or fish. I also decided to include a screenshot from my own personal customized little farmhouse, as well as my favorite little armchair, the green armchair, where it's just so cute how my little avatar sits in there. And then of course we cannot forget about my adorable little pet, Mr. Buttons. I'm so happy that I found this resource online that shows Mr. Buttons in all sorts of different positions. And last but not least, may I introduce you to Farmer Yo? This is me. This is the way my actual character looks like in Stardew Valley, how I've customized it, with the adorable little Daisy in the hair. My farm, by the way, is called Utopia. For a short background, Stardew Valley is a very adorable computer game where you basically have a tiny little avatar, a character. You live on a farm in this place called Stardew Valley. That farm is attached to a little village and to local mountains where you can explore the caves, to a local forest that you can explore and where you can go foraging. It is attached to the sea where you can go fishing and even go overseas to a tropical island. The main thing though, of course, is the farm where you can grow all different sorts of crops, produce artisan goods, have animals that give you certain products. A short note, as a vegetarian, I really appreciate that the animal products are all such that they don't require any animal to die, so you can have wool or milk, but basically no meat. Another thing that you can do is expand your house, decorate it according to what you like, and you can build relationships with villagers and even marry, including adopting kids. In this screenshot of my farmhouse, you can see me sitting in my favorite armchair, the two little kids that I have called Fatu and Daniel, and my beautiful wife Leah, who is an artist and who has her atelier right next to the living room. This is the game in a nutshell. It is very adorable and there is a lot to explore, and I personally like it because time and pace don't really matter. You can do everything at your own pace and there is not a lot that you are required to do, but you're very free to just explore and build your own little world, a peaceful world. As for the April calendar, I really wanted to include the typical spring calendar of Stardew Valley. Of course, since the days and the dates are not quite matching with the actual month of April, I decided to cut the center part out and draw a proper April calendar into the frame, but still including the Stardew Spring events that are festivals and birthdays. The first birthday is Kent on April 4th. On the 7th we have Major Lewis, then Little Vincent, who is Kent's little son. On the 13th there is the Egg Festival, which is basically a non-religious version of Easter with an egg hunt that you can win or lose. Abigail always wins. And then there are also the birthdays of Haley, Pam, Shane, who is one of my favorite characters, on the 20th, and the rather grey Harvey, the doctor of the valley, and the adorable Emily. One aspect of the game is also that you can fulfill certain quests for certain villagers. Fulfilling these will give you money, probably also friendship points, and sometimes unlock certain events. And I thought this would be the perfect framing for my monthly goals. The yellow lines are for my monthly trackers, which are my vitamins, symbolized with a strawberry, Then there is this little Junimo holding a star. To me, it kind of looks like it's lifting the star. So I thought this was the perfect symbol for my workouts. And then I decided to include a large parsnip instead of a cauliflower because it is the very first crop in the game that you grow and harvest. Junimos are basically magical small forest creatures, and if you build them a home, they will become your helpers and pick your crops for you. Now, since this is basically a farming game, seasons do matter a lot. In different seasons, there are different fish that you could catch, different crops that you can grow, and different items that you can forage. The other seasons, of course, are summer, fall, and winter. And it is my goal, by the way, to represent each of these seasons in my bullet journal. So starting with spring, in a few months I'll do summer, around October probably I do fall, and then early next year, winter. The next spread is my spending log. This little pink flower over here represents spring. It's like sort of the icon for spring in the game. As always, I like to divide my spending log into essential and extra spendings. And below the hashtag, I'll write the date of a spending, then the item that I bought, and then the price symbolized by the little coin. Money is a thing in Stardew Valley. You will want to try to find strategies how you can make a bunch of money to buy very expensive things that will make your life more convenient. Down here at the bottom, I decided to show the growing stages of this crop called ancient fruit. In the course of the game, you will find ancient seeds and you will plant them to figure out if something can still grow from these, and you will then get this very nice, beautiful blue fruit that is quite valuable and makes the base for an excellent wine. This device here that kinda looks like a clock, but not really, is the time display in Stardew Valley that is always located at the top right of the screen. It shows the season you're currently in, the weather of the day, as well as the time of the day you're currently at. Some things you can only do at specific times. Shops, for example, have opening hours. Certain fish can only be caught at certain hours. And of course at night, the little farmer needs to sleep, and if you don't make it into bed before 2 a.m., you will actually pass out. Since in the game this clock is always displayed at the top right of the screen, I decided to swap it with the pink flower just because it feels like the top right is where the clock actually belongs. At the bottom of the time display there is a little box that shows you how much money you currently own, and I thought that's a cool place to write in how much I will be able to save in April. So I cut off that little money box and put it below the section where I will summarize my entire financials for April. The next thing to set up will be my weekly spreads, and I'm a sucker for tabs. I just love the aesthetics of tabs. This time I chose to decorate each tab with one of the 4 main spring forageables. That is leek for week 1, dandelions for week 2, horseradish for week 3, and the daffodils for the last week of April. The daffodil is clearly one of the main representatives of spring, since that's most probably the very first item you will forge in the entire game. Visually, the game is very cute with this simplistic style, and I always find it fascinating how details are still discernible and make items very well distinguishable from each other, even though the visual style is so pixelated. In terms of layout, I nearly always use the Alistair method or rolling weekly. How this method works I have explained in my September 2020 Plan With Me video that I will link below for you. If you're interested, you can check it out. Besides the columns for the task list, I also included a small event calendar on the left-hand side for the 7 days of the week, and a section for notes. Each season in Stardew Valley has its own color scheme and atmosphere, I would say. An atmosphere that is created through the colors, the items, but also the music. And for me, the colors that really represent spring are yellow for the yellow pathways and green from the fresh green grass. So that is why I chose a strong yellow and a strong happy green as my markers for this theme. Since this week is Vincent's birthday on the 10th, I of course had to include him as well. Vincent is just a cute little boy who likes to play in the mud with insects. He likes nails, he likes cake, of course. He also likes grapes and for some reason ginger ale. Birthdays matter because by giving people items, preferably their favorite items, as a birthday gift, really boosts your friendship relation to this individual. Another element that I decided to include in my layout is a mini meal plan. Just a little list where I can write down which meals I'm planning to cook throughout the week without much extra planning or room for a shopping list or anything like that. This week's meal plan is going to be represented with a healthy salad, which is the favorite food of my beloved wife Leah. And I also included a butterfly hutch, which is one of my favorite decorative items. It just looks pretty and butterflies come out of it. What more do you need? As usual, I repeat the same basic structure of my weekly layout for every week of the month and just change up the decoration a little bit. Definitely tell me in the comments if you're also as addicted as I am to this beautiful, wonderful little game. It seems so simple but has a lot of depth to it, and it is amazing that it was created by just one single person, Eric Barone, who not just came up with the idea but also created the entire game, the gameplay, the design of how everything looks like, the music, everything. And that is such an impressive achievement. For the headers that I'm lettering myself, I tried to imitate the same Stardew Valley type font, using the same two colors, a dark brown and then for the shadowing, a lighter brown. For the third week, I used another of the time display elements. Of course, in the top right corner, where else would it go? And this week is going to be the birthday week of Pam and Shane, two rather tragic and depressed people. But interacting with them in the game and becoming their friends enables you to help them a little bit and cheer up their lives a bit, I guess. And also to get to know them some more, which is actually quite interesting. Of course, there cannot be a single spread without a cute tiny little Mr. Buttons in it. The last week is the birthday week of Emily, who is a very nice girl. She likes dancing, she loves dancing, and when she dances, she shakes her butt in the cutest way possible. She's also into fashion and likes fabrics and sewing, and she teaches you how to sew, and you can use her sewing machine. She's also totally into the spiritual power of gemstones and stuff like that. For the event calendar, I chose a progression of Mr. Buttons moving around, or rather lying down, like the cute little lazy cat that he is. And for the meal plan, after all that healthy stuff last week with the salad and then the sushi, we'll have pizza this week. And for this last week, I used the friendship level display, which is a row of hearts, for the Alistair method task list. So basically you start out with a lot of empty hearts with each single person, And through interacting with people, through talking to them, giving them gifts and so on, you can fill up those hearts and increase your friendship level. With Emily, my friendship level is nearly full. Only 2 empty hearts are left, and these 2 hearts I could only fill out if I decided to date her, but since I'm already happily married to Leah, that's not going to happen. This game kinda supports monogamy after all. Now I only add some final touches, and then the setup is finished. So if you're a fellow farmer, definitely tell me in the comments, and if not, I hope I could spark some interest in you for this game. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I wish you all a colorful April.